Let's talk about Usman, Nurmagomedov, and Paul Hughes. I rewatched their fights that they had. I rewatched some other fights that they've had. I rewatched, all of Usman's his last 4 fights I watched, and I rewatched, Hughes's fights with Usman, and I have strong opinions on how I think that they would do in the UFC. I see people saying that Usman and Nurmagomedov would beat Dan Hooker. I see people saying that he would have a competitive fight with Arman Tsarukyan. I see people saying that both him and Hughes would be top 10 fighters. I'm here to tell you right now, there are 10 unranked fighters off the top of my fucking head that I would say, yep, they beat those two. But we'll get to that. Right now, we'll stick to using the eye test of what I think about their game, how good these guys are. First off, I think physically, Usman Nurmagomedov is kind of weak compared to the other Dagestanis. He's weaker than those guys, and he's a lot smaller. He is not a big. He is a small lightweight. Both him and Paul Hughes are small lightweights. They look like featherweights. He's weak. He's smaller, and I think he's not weak, but he doesn't have that Dagestani strength, right? He's kind of weak. His strength isn't an advantage of his. He's got technical grappling, good grappling when he uses it, but he's kind of weak physically. He's hesitant a lot with his whole game on the feet and on the ground. The Alfie Davis performance was great, and that's, where was that in the Paul Hughes rematch? You know what I mean? He's fast, but he's not really able to get a good read on it. He has problems getting a good read on his opponents, what they're gonna do and stuff, and he overthinks a lot. He's kind of has a weak usage of his striking arsenal, even though he does have decent striking. He can get outpaced. He likes to cheat with nut shots. I don't know how. He had 3 nut shots in the Paul Hughes rematch. I don't know how he didn't. And he also had a headbutt. He headbutted him. Blatantly headbutted him. Oh, but it was light. Yeah, I don't care. It's a headbutt. And it was after the bell on top of that. It was like a blatant boom. And you could say, oh, well, Hughes headbutt. I mean, that was a head clash. When Hughes and Usman headbutt each other during the round, it was a head clash between both of them. But Usman had a blatant headbutt after, round 2 or 3? Just blatantly headbutted Hughes for no reason, just being a dickhead to Hughes between rounds. Literally headbutted him between rounds and was kind of just talking shit in between rounds. I don't know why, but Usman's a dickhead, I guess. He doesn't roll with the shots. He doesn't roll with shots well. He doesn't take shots well. He got... Dude, the commentators were so biased to Usman and Nurmagomedov during that rematch. They were just weren't acknowledging it any time that Usman clearly got hurt. They didn't even acknowledge it when he got dropped to a fucking knee. He was literally dropped him to a knee in round 5. He gets worse under pressure in his fights. As I said, he's a dickhead for talking shit halfway through a fight when he's the one who cheated multiple times. He's got poor cardio management, weak accuracy, weak striking defense, likes his striking too much, overthinks his striking, overthinks his game plan. He not really good at imposing his will, doesn't rely on instinct enough. He disregards instinct and just tries to think way too much, I think. I think he wastes his cardio early. Even though he should know that his accuracy isn't that great, he wastes his cardio early sometimes, and he used an unnecessary amount of movement. I think he does have good movement. I think he does have good footwork for the most part. but he does waste a lot of his movement and does make some unnecessary adjustments in his footwork. I think that he's got slick takedowns. I think he strikes too much. I think it takes too long for him to start getting good shots off on the feet. It takes way too long for him to get a read on his opponents. It's like he needs to be in a 5-rounder almost with his style. Unless, you just don't really have great grappling defense, like Alfie Davis. He's got a decent variety of kicks. Fight IQ is not that great. It's pretty mediocre. I don't want to say it's bad, but it's pretty mediocre fight IQ. And this is in the context, by the way, saying bad, good, in the context of him, I'm just basing this off of, in, the context of let's say he's a high-level UFC fighter. And that's the context of saying he's good at this, he's bad at this, he's mediocre at this for a high-level UFC fighter, all right? Even though he's not in the UFC, I mean, this is a video about how he's going to do in the UFC, or how I think he's going to do in the UFC. I think he's got a decent variety of kicks. I think he's got great knees, really slick, great takedowns, and, good technique on the ground, good transitions. Decent. He's got good finishing potential on the ground when he knows he got a big grappling advantage. But if he doesn't, if that easy sub or whatever isn't there, he's gonna hesitate and he's gonna overthink and he's not really gonna go for it or really try and impose his will on the ground, and he's gonna be on the feet too much. Even though in the Paul Hughes fight he was taking him down at will, didn't have any problems getting to the ground. He should have just stuck with that. And he doesn't have good ground and pound. He doesn't use ground and pound in general. He doesn't use ground and pound at all. He doesn't do damage on the ground. He's got good transition and he's a submission threat, but he doesn't really have great ground and pound. He doesn't really use ground and pound at all. He has used good ground and pound. He has finished fights with ground and pound. All right, so I take that back. He has good ground and pound, but at a high level, he's afraid to use it. He didn't use it against Davis, really. He didn't use it against Hughes at all. When he's facing these opponents that are kind of high level. I think he's also got decent technique on the feet. I think his strikes look clean, even though they're not that good, even though he doesn't have the best shot selection a lot of times. And this is now, we're going to both section before we get to the Paul Hughes section. I think Paul Hughes has low finishing potential, especially, I think they both have low finishing potential on the feet. Especially, when they're facing higher comp, I think they both just have low finishing potential in general. With Usman, it's more of a fight IQ problem than a skill problem. It's a little bit of both. I think they got low finishing instinct. They don't really have good finishing instincts at a high level. They don't really impose their will that well. They don't really have much of an X factor to their game. Instead of Usman, you can say, his takedowns when he decides to use it. Both do crafty stuff that sometimes works. They got some crafty looking striking shit that kind of works, but not really. It just looks cool. Both look like featherweights. Both don't have good shot placement or shot selection. Hughes is a slow starter. Hughes, okay, not that he doesn't have a heart, but I don't know, he complains about things. Usman did cheat, but there was a couple times where it's that was clearly on the inside of the thigh. And even with the headbutt thing, he was overplaying it, but it is an illegal headbutt, so it's kind of fine. I feel like when Hughes is under pressure, he just doesn't want to be there. He's like, don't like it. And it's anytime, there was never really any big exchanges between these two, because anytime one was under pressure, the other was just trying to get out of the pressure. There was never a time I was they were just trading shots here, great shot from him, great work from him there. No, it's he's not really liking that pressure. No one's throwing anything right now. It's he's, just circling and trying to get away from the pressure. He's just circling out to his right. Oh, he's just circling out to his left. Basic shit. Hughes overswings on his shots. I think his technique is overrated. I think he keeps things really tight, but he does overswing. And if he didn't keep things as tight as he did, man, that chin, dude, Hughes against a high level comp in the UFC, dude. There's quite a few guys that would chin Hughes. I think he spams hooks. He spams hooks in like creative ways over and over. I don't think he'd be able to do that with high-level comp in the UFC. He's got weak shot selection. I don't really think he's smart when it comes to trying to finish a fight. I think he leaves himself open. I know that these guys both have finishes against shitty comp, but I don't care about the shitty comp. I care about, the guys, like, mostly them fighting each other because they're on a different level than anyone else in the PFL. And they're the only guys I'd say that are high-level MMA fighters. That I'd say are they both be good UFC fighters. Are they ranked caliber? No, they're not. It is copium to say that they are ranked caliber. Hughes leaves himself wide open when he's on the offense. He builds into a fight well in 5-rounders, but I'd never be in a 5-rounder in the UFC. I think 3-rounders could be a bit of an issue. And just as I said with Usman, honestly, you know what? No, I kind of disagree with that. I keep my critique on Usman, but about that, but not on Hughes. I'll just say he builds well. I'd say it takes him a while to start picking his shots well. Like a while until late into the fight to start actually having decent shot selection. He's got a really slow build, but then he builds into a fight slowly, but then he doesn't really continue to build much, and his gas tank isn't that great. Doesn't do well under pressure. Definitely won it against high-level UFC fighters. I think get overwhelmed and chinned. These are both guys that would get overwhelmed by high-level UFC comp. They just don't like the pressure. They don't like it. They don't fucking like it. I think they get overwhelmed by high-level UFC comp. I think his fight IQ is decent, unlike Usman's. He bruises very, very easily. He's got good combinations. Now on Tapology. I'm going to go over every fighter. I'm going to go over a lot of fighters here in the lightweight division, and I'm going to say what they would do to Usman and Hughes. In terms of ranked UFC fighters, they get destroyed, absolutely obliterated by Ilya or Arman or Holloway. These aren't even worth discussing. Or Benoit or Charles. Justin obliterates him. Gamrot would school them. Huffy would KO them. Fizia would school him. Pimblett would beat him. Hooker would mess him up. Freaking Faraz would mess him up. Torres would mess him up. Money would mess him up. Money Moik would mess him up. Freaking Chandler would mess him up. Chandler, I don't know. I don't know about Chandler. Could they beat Chandler? I don't think either of them would. But there's maybe. But no, probably not. I think Chandler would beat him. And now for guys that aren't even ranked. Alright, we got freaking Baja Bundes. Would definitely destroy them. Would definitely finish them. Grant Dawson would mess him up. Now, he definitely beat Paul Hughes for sure. But Usman, I don't know. It'd be competitive. But I would probably pick Dawson. I think Ludovic Klein would probably beat them. I think Quinlan Salkilde would destroy them. I think Chris Duncan would definitely be beating them. Alexander Hernandez. They're on the level of Alexander Hernandez, honestly. They probably beat Alexander Hernandez. I think Hughes would beat Alexander Hernandez. I think Usman would beat him with grappling. I think Hughes would have a tough fight with him. I feel like I could really see Hernandez just pressuring him and just fucking chinning him. But Hernandez his fight IQ's shit himself, so I don't know. I'd say maybe Hughes So I don't know about Alexander Hernandez. Nasrat Haqparast would beat him. Jalen Turner would KO him. What's Jakar Close doing this side Tapology? Get your shit together. They would beat Jakar Close. What the fuck? Esteban Ribics would mess them the fuck up. They would beat Bobby Green. Nazim Sadikov would beat them. They beat Jared Gordon. Rebecki, they would get beat by Rebecki. Mateus Rebecki would beat Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes in the same night. Not in the same night. He couldn't do that. But he would definitely be beating him. Especially Usman. I think he'd mess up Hughes as well. I think he would drag Hughes into war, and Hughes just wouldn't like it. Like, I think he would TKO both of them, probably. Because I don't see those guys really I don't see them doing well in a war of attrition with a lot of these guys. And I think, like, Rebecki's going to take you there, and I think they'd fold. I think Usman would be surprised at how well Rebecki does on the ground with him. Honestly, I think Usman could avoid getting chinned, but I think he get dropped. I think Rebecki would win a decision against Usman. I think Usman will be like trying to run and shit and trying to grapple, but I think they beat Ferreira. I think they beat Michael Johnson, Chase Hooper, Hoffa. They beat these guys. They will not beat Kyle Fernandez. That's for sure. Okay, all these guys. All right, all I see is names that they would beat outside of maybe Elvis Brenner, because I am gonna get back to freaking Kyle Fernandez in a second. Elvis Brenner. All right, they beat these guys. They probably would they beat Rongju? I don't know, man. They wouldn't be beating Chris Padilla, man. That's all I know. Nah. They could maybe beat Chris Padilla. They would beat Rongju. Yeah, they'd be beating Rongju. They're on the level of like Chris Padilla. They'd be beating Thiago Moises. Now, Elvis Brenner. Here's the thing about Elvis Brenner. Here's the thing you gotta understand. Is he on a 3-fight losing streak? Yeah. But here's the thing. Esteban Ribics and Joel Alvarez would both beat them. Joel Alvarez would finish both of them. Orobai would probably beat them. Probably. I don't know. It's lightweight Orobai. You know what? No. I'm going to say... Now, I think Usman would beat lightweight Orobai. I think Usman would beat him. I think Hughes... I don't know. I think it'd be competitive fights for both. And also, just so you guys know, I think that Usman and Hughes are 1-1. I think the first fight was close but clear to Usman, and I think the second fight was close and not very clear. I think it was just a straight up close fight, and I think that Paul Hughes did win. I think that he literally dropped Usman to a knee, and the fact that there was a fifth in round 5 and clearly won round 3. Beast him up, outputted him in round 5 too. Outputted him in round 2. I think I'll give round 2 to him. Round 5 and 3 are just clear as day, Paul Hughes. It comes down to round 2, honestly, and I'd give it to Hughes. It really does just come down to round 2. If you really analyze that fight, round 2 is the swing round of that fight. Like, it's just not debatable. And round 2 could go either way. Like, that's how it is. But Joel Alvarez and Ribics would be beating them. We already know that. It's fact. Or Abaz, maybe. Who knows? But Brenner, they'd probably be beating an Elvis Brenner. They'd be beating an Elvis Brenner. But yeah, they're on the level of the Brenners, of the Padillas, of the Rongjus, of maybe the Rebeckis. Like, those are, like, that is their level. That's where I think they're at. Now, Kawe Fernandez, let's talk about my buddy Kawe Fernandez for a second. Because Kawe Fernandez would beat them. Here's the thing you gotta understand about Kawe Fernandez. Did he lose a split decision to Mark DeCasey? Yes, he did. But as I said, he should have won. Although, like, is that a horrendous look, losing to Mark DeCasey? Yes. But has he gotten, like, a million times better since the Mark DeCasey fight? Yes. Did he fuck up Muhammad Yahya in round 1? Yes. Did he school Garam Kutafradze? Yes. Did he absolutely embarrass Harry Hardwick with low kicks alone and make him go out on a wheelchair? Yes. Kyle Fernandez literally has the best low kicks in the entire division. And he's made incredible improvements since 2023, since his first short notice debut. Yeah, that's what I think about Usman Nurmagomedov and Paul Hughes. They're good. They're really good. But they're not UFC ranked caliber fighters.